Well, no hesitation, straight in, as I like to say. So this is going to be my first video. I've done a whole bunch before, but the files are corrupted and I am getting used to speaking on camera. So even though I covered a lot of topics and stuff, I'm a lot more used to speaking in front of camera now, and I was a little bit angry and a bit heated, and I'm not sure if that's the energy I want to bring. So welcome to my channel. I don't know what to call it yet. I like talking about knowledge, things that are true. I like talking about spiritual things and what's wrong with the world and how to make it right. And linking lots of dots and trying to help people. Most definitely trying to help people. There's a word going around the internet, chosen ones. And I wouldn't say I dismissed it at first, but I was like, oh, okay, chosen ones, sure. But the more I'm thinking about it, the more I'm realizing is that these are people that have experienced what I've experienced. And a lot of people are starting to see the same numbers on the clock, the synchronicities, the coincidences that are not coincidences. A lot of people are becoming spiritual quite rapidly. And when this first happens to me, I was 33, and I started seeing 33 everywhere. And then I realized and I found out with a little bit of research that Jesus was crucified at 33, and that there's 33 vertebrae in a human spine. There's 33 levels of Freemasonry. And there's a lot more significance with the number 33. And so many times, these numbers, my God. I thought I was going mad, then I realised I wasn't, then my family thought I was going mad, and fuck them. And so many times, I'll give you an idea. Everyone said it was my body clock, that you've got a body clock. And so that's why you look up and you see it 33, because your body clock's in line with the clock. Therefore, you're going to see 33. So one day, the electricity went off. And when it came back on again, I had to reset the thermostat clock. But my laptop had battery, so it didn't go off. And even if it did or didn't, it keeps its time for Wi-Fi. So the laptop was perfect time. And my thermostat digital clock was out of sync, out of time, because the electric gone off. And I went to reset the clock, and then suddenly it occurred to me, well, if this is body clock, and these two clocks are different, then in theory, I should be able to set up a stool and turn my back to these two clocks, one in time, one out of time. And I wonder whether I turn around, one of these will be these numbers, because at the time, and it's still to this day, but I was new to it at the time, and I was doing little tests to find out A, if I'm going mad, and B, what does this actually mean? So if everyone's telling me that I have a natural body clock, well, it can't necessarily be the case if it happens on the clock that's out of time. It would happen on the one that's in time. So I sat on a stool, my back to these two clocks, and I went to flinch to turn around, and I suddenly went, no, let's make it a bit longer. So without looking at the clocks, I boiled a kettle, made myself a cup of tea, and I rolled myself a cigarette. And after this cup of tea, and after I had this cigarette, I suddenly went, right, and I turned around. And I can't remember exactly what it was, the combination of all the numbers on the times on the two clocks, but every single one of them on the two clocks was the numbers that I see. And the numbers that I see are 33, 44 and 53. Everywhere, even if I don't have a phone. I kid you not, even if I don't have a phone or a time or whatever. I've been homeless for a few years and had some temporary accommodation, and I'm sat on a toilet and I look down and there's a tiny sticker on the floor that says 33. I've literally just ordered my screen for in my studio I'm building. Just ordered my screen monitor, a 34-inch widescreen monitor to go with my computer. And on the box it's 33 hertz or something, but yeah, 33. Many years ago, 7 odd years ago or 8 years ago, I don't know, I'm terrible with, I try not to keep time. A long ass time ago. Back when YouTube would go from one documentary to the next documentary to the next documentary, just automatically. It still does now, but you can turn it on and off. Back then it would just go from one, you know, choose it for you. You know, you're going to watch this, you can watch that. And I would keep YouTube on throughout the night for something to go to sleep to. And I wake up in the middle of the night and I hear some bird banging on about the importance of 33. And I just couldn't believe it. At the time I'm getting bombarded with numbers. And it started off at just 33. It wasn't 33 and 44 and 53. It started off, I was just seeing 33 all over the place. And I couldn't believe it. I'm like, oh my God, are you done? Are you joking? I can't even fucking sleep. Looking around for the mouse. Nope, that's the remote control. Eyes stinging. Fuck's sake. I grab the mouse and I go to turn it onto the next documentary. And I look at the time and it's 3:33 while she's talking about 33. And not only this, but I've awakened other people's minds. And this is why I want to do this channel. One of the many reasons I want to do this channel, I am doing this channel, is that from the people that have said in absolute denial, no, you're just seeing things and so on and so forth, to the people that I've most definitely woken up. And I've told them, you're going to start seeing numbers everywhere and you'll see coincidences all over the place. So many you think you're going mad, and that's how you know you're going through this awakening. I now know that I'm not going mad. And I now know that the people that have doubted me will always, I call them doubters. They're just not on this frequency. Another word that's going around is timeline. You know? We as a race of humans are becoming a lot more spiritual. And when this happens to me, I've been many places since that day. And a lot of these places I need to keep my mouth shut and my ears open and look and observe. And I've heard lots of people saying the same things. Now, would you call it an awakening, becoming spiritual, magic? What do we call this? It doesn't matter. This is the problem. One person will say, I've got this spiritual practice, or I've got this religion, and I'm going to create this symbol, and this is the symbol that we worship, or agree that this is what this symbol. And someone else will go, no, I've got this symbol, and this is the one. And then you have war. It's because of the symbol. So it doesn't really matter. Choose what you wish. Choose it. It doesn't make a difference. As long as your intentions are good, as long as you're not being cruel, evil, hurting people, it does not make a difference. They used to take the mickey out of it and make fun of it in Monty Python's and the Holy Grail, where they don't know what to worship. Follow the gourd, follow the sandal, you know? And it's true, make silly, light-hearted laughter of it. You know? So it doesn't matter what you call it. I don't like to say God, I say the gods. And I say universe. And then I say spirit and source. You know? But you could call it Bob or Tina. I don't care. If there's a tribe in the middle of nowhere that's never been contacted by anyone, and they realise that by focusing on a coconut, that they get what they want, and it happens, and they can't explain why, but it happens. Who is to say that they're wrong because another person has got another way of achieving what they achieve with the universe, with the divine Eve? They call it God or the gods or spirit, ancestors, manifestation, whatever. It doesn't make a difference. If it works, and that's that. So I see these numbers all over the place. It started with 33, then it moved on to 44, and then 53. And I also get the 1, 1, 1, 1, and ascending and descending numbers and triple numbers. Recently I'm getting a lot of 5, 5, 5, okay? And then there's the times that are just ridiculous coincidences and synchronicities that are just phenomenal. I mean, how are they even possible? Yet they happen, and I know that they happen, and they keep happening. Sometimes I get bombarded with these numbers so many times a day, like every single time I check the time. Or if there's a like on a YouTube channel and it filters through, it always filters through to my numbers. So I say to myself that I'm on a path, and regardless, just keep following this path, keep going, it will lead to a brighter, I wouldn't say a brighter future, because you're always in the now, you're always time travelling every second at the time. But from someone who never believed in anything, and was told a whole bunch of things to believe in that I've recently found out are not true, and then believe in something else, and believe in something else, or now believe in this newspaper, well, they were lying, believe in this, no, that was lying, believe in this ancient tale, no, that was a tale of an older tale, and even that it's representing something that's of the seasons, not necessarily of what the tale said. And then believe in your family and your community, and no, they're lying, they black sheep me, and then lie, and then gossip and smear campaign my name. And so I had to deal with a lot of hate and a lot of betrayal. And then the numbers start happening. And for all the crazy oppression, I start seeing these numbers everywhere, and I have faith that I know these numbers are happening. I know I'm not going mad. I've learnt so much knowledge about these events and other certain bits and pieces between now and then. And I also wish to speak about my life and what's led me here, and leave a legacy also. I remember my brother, one of my brothers, the one who's actually seen these numbers himself. I mean, every time I'd ask if I can use his phone to check my Facebook messages, because I don't always have a phone, it would always be 44, or 53 or 33. I mean, every time I'd be like, oh my God, I don't believe it, there we go. One day he says, it was really, really weird. I wanted to go and check my time. And I said to myself, I wonder if as I check my time, it's going to be 33, like my bro says. And he went to turn the phone on and it was out of battery. So he went and had to find a charger, and he couldn't. So then he borrowed another person's charger. This whole process took him a long time. Then he charged his phone, which took him a long time. And by the time, eventually, an hour and a half later, he turns his phone on, and it's like 33 minutes past whatever the hour it was. And he was completely flummoxed. He was like, wait a minute, how is that possible? I've been talking to someone about this, because I say I unlock other people's minds and stuff. And I spent about an hour or so talking about my tale and how many times I've seen these numbers and so on and so forth. And he's not believing and so on and so forth, and questioning from a logical point of view, which exactly what I did. And then whilst we're saying this and I get to the end of this huge ass conversation, he pulls his phone out, and as he pulls his phone out, we both saw it was 3:33, but he tried to deny it and put the phone back in his pocket. I went, no, motherfucker, bring your phone right back out. I saw that, yeah? It's so shocking that people don't want to admit, even though it's in their face, and that is separating the wheat from the chaff. And I'm not knocking the chaff, and I'm not necessarily bigging up the wheat. I'm saying that some people know that this is the case. It's a fact. And other people that have denied that this is the case, even though they see the evidence, they'll still try and deny it. But when it gets to a point where it's undeniable, they have to then accept. And this process can take a while. It took years for me, whole lifetime of, a lot of pain and a lot of suffering, a lot of being used, abused, and told things that I believed were correct, and they turned out to be incorrect. And now I know a lot of truth, a lot of the truth. Then I have to get over the bitterness and resentment and anguish that a lot of my life has been wasted, and all the things I believed I should do, and I realise now, no, I'm not going to do actually. I'm not concentrating on a whole bunch of other people, being there for people and not there for me, and it's just not sensible. So there's some people that even though they see these numbers and they see these multiple coincidences, they're still going to say, they'll make up any sort of reason, any sort of excuse. Especially when it's the people you love and your family, it can really, really be crushing. And part of my message is to speak to people that are in this situation and reach out to them and say, you're on the money, okay? And it ain't easy. I will say one thing, that people that want to get into a spiritual life, like, because they make the choice to, so they're going to go and buy a whole bunch of pillows, grow their hair out, get some incense, start speaking all softly and stuff. Man, this ain't getting spiritual. When you get genuinely spiritual, your life gets tough and hard. Spirit will chuck you trial and tribulation after trial and tribulation. You'll start to even resent spirit. It will literally mash you up. And you've got to deal with that. You've got to deal with the resentment, deal with the anguish, deal with the loneliness. Like some martial art practices where the monks get some lad, put him in a cave blindfolded in absolute pitch dark, and attack him over and over and over and over again. And it's unfair. Can't see where the attacks are coming from. He can't see, the monks can. And this goes on for years. Do you imagine that? Every day you're actually getting beaten up. And it's so unfair, you can't even see where the blows are coming from ninja monks who have got the art and you haven't. And eventually a 7th and 8th sense starts to happen, and you start blocking all these attacks. Because you have an eye inside your head, and you have senses that we've been told we haven't got. And you go through processes to awaken these senses, then you can do things. Well, that process is painful. Growth in life is painful. But we in the Western world, we shy away from pain. We don't want it. We've got all the technology, and we've got central heating and power steering, and now we've got these phones that completely dumb us down, even though you've got the answer to any question ever asked at the palm of your hands. We seem to be getting dumber and dumber because of the entertainment rather than the knowledge. And we don't want the growth. We don't want the pain. So those that do get into a spiritual life and spiritual following, it's a rough awakening. It's a rough ride. But their teachings and their it was confused, and a lot of people are confused, and that's where the bitterness and resentment comes from. All frustration and anger comes from a lack of knowledge. Why is this happening to me? Why can't I get the lid off the jam jar? Yes. And then all of a sudden, you start getting answers, and the frustration dies down. Now, the pain is still there, the pain of growth is still there, but the way that you perceive said growth and said pain. Oh, this hurts, I've got to get up early and go to the gym again. I've got eye of the tiger, I'm getting up early, smashing eggs and going to the gym again. Oh, I'm in the gym and I don't like all this. Or you're in the gym and you're going, mashing them weights, and it's just you, the mirror, and your pain, and you enjoy it. Change how you think about a thing and the thing changes. So, I wouldn't exactly say I'd be giving people shortcuts, but where it took a big chunk of my life to get to where I am now, I know that life is very important and that every second that goes by, you never get it back. So I have a responsibility to tell people my tale and how it happened and came to be. And in doing so, I'm saving people a lot of their life, a lot of time and effort, a lot of frustration. But the pain will still be there. The pain of growth is always still going to be there. So the way I see it, bring it on. Good, I want it. I want more. Erastaman never give thanks and praise, like I said in another, I think of this, the other episode will be the second episode, because I kept one. Got rid of the rest, got to get a better flash drive and teething problems with this recording studio and production studio I'm putting together. It's easy to give thanks and praise when everything's going great. When things are going really hard and you're facing trials and tribulations and even absolute horrors, that is when give thanks and praise really means. That's the time you really use the saying, I give thanks and praise. Or with praise I give thanks. So if you're always thankful, the universe gives you more reasons to be thankful. But this doesn't mean things are going to get easier. If you go, oh, I'm always thankful because I always want things to be easier, it doesn't work that way. And let's say you continue with what the Western world and the commercialized world, capitalism, would want for everybody. You know, you've got your fleeces, and you've got your central heating, you can push the button. Now you don't even need to push the button, you talk to the button, okay, and you get these things. It just makes you easy. Not easy, it makes you weak. It makes you weak. Everything's so easy, it just makes you weak. And then you're kind of spoiled. But we as humans, we need struggle, we need adventure. Right? Life is an adventure, it's a tour of the Advent. We need these things. You take these things away and you feel uncompleted, frustrated. Emotions will build up and then turn into illnesses. And we'll suppress our emotions as well. They're all there for a reason. You've got love at the top, hate at the bottom, every single emotion in between. If you're angry, it's for a reason. If you're upset, miserable, excited, what's the word, nervous, you know, all these things. They're all there, all the emotions, they're all there for a reason. Find the answer to said reason and don't suppress them. 9 times out of 10 you find the answer for the reason, and then, like I said, it goes away because you have the answer. You know? I'm very frustrated, now I'm determined. Those are 2 emotions. So I'm going to be restless until I get my answer. So I don't feel restless and determined. Now I get to move on. So, I'm a musician. My mum made me with reggae. I said to my mum one day, I said, Mum, why do I love reggae so much? You know, skanking to reggae is when you dance to reggae, but it's not dancing. Skanking is skanking. When you, it's more tribal than dancing. When you dance, you're putting on a display for someone. When you're skanking, it's just you and the scene. You know, you're skanking. It's very different. I said, Mum, I was at a bar, there were 100 man's dem, and some reggae came on, and I am literally skanking so hard I almost fell off my stool. No one feels it like I feel it. Why is this? She said, oh, I made you with reggae. I said, what? She says, yeah, when I was pregnant with you, I put big studio headphones, the massive big headphones, and I put them on my belly for 9 months. And I played you Bob Marley, Peter Tosh, Black Uhuru, so many other, you know, Gregory Isaacs, Pablo Moses, you know. Genuine vibes, man, says I. And I pay homage to reggae, but I'm also a blues man. I played the blues all my life. Always wanted to be a blues man, ever since a kid. And be careful what you wish for, because it can come true. And, you know, I play all sorts. I say to myself that reggae is my light side and the blues is my dark side, and then I play every genre of music that I like between one and the other, again with the spectrums at the top and the bottom, kind of like, you know, reggae's at the top and blues is at the bottom, and then you've got all the other genres of music between, and I like to play most of them. I think the only form of music I can't get my head around is jazz, you know, I just can't get my head around jazz. It's, but yeah, I know, psychedelic, 1969 Woodstock, Crybaby, you know, give me a Les Paul and there's something about having your hair down, a trilby on, and playing a Les Paul. There's just something about it. You know, but I'm kind of a half-hour guitar solo kind of guy, you know. And there's dudes out there much better than me. I'm not saying I'm super hot or whatever, you know, there's some people out there these days, especially the kids coming out of Japan, that are just phenomenal talent. But the reason I'm saying this is, I was sat in a chair one evening, pondering, and it just hit me. Music, magic. I went, wow, those words are so very similar. And I filtered through the English language in my mind very quickly, and I couldn't come up with another word that's similar in the expression of said word. Music, magic. And then it went, my mind went, magician, musician. And that was it, mind blown. That took off a whole plethora, a universal imaginarium of thinking. Whole mind blown, just like, wow, okay. So I started studying, what is music, what is magic? And I don't believe I was seeing the numbers quite yet. This is what led me on to seeing said numbers. Now let me digress quickly. My dad would lecture me for hours from the age of 6 to the age of 8, 8.5. Every time, every conversation I had with my dad would be a big ass lecture, be crammed with knowledge. He would call himself the information centre, you know. And he would literally, I mean, you hear college kids going, oh, I had to go for a 2-hour lecture. I'm like, what are we on about, man? I've been lectured for 6 hours when I'm like 6.5, 7 years old. You know? And then YouTube happened, and I went down the conspiracy rabbit hole before it was known as rabbit hole, before false information and all these terms that were come out with fake news and all that crap. You know, for me it started with the 9/11 conspiracies, and then went on to so many other different conspiracies. And I was a dad for the first time, and I needed to be the best dad I knew how to be. So, like my dad lectured me, I wished to learn a lot of knowledge, and without not long at all, I was down the conspiracy routes. And then all of a sudden it started to mess with my head when I found out about, which is now admitted by the government, yes, we need to block out the sun with things sprayed from airplanes without people's consent. I found out about this nigh on 20 years ago. Right? Before, no one believed me. So I had to come off the conspiracy stuff, but my mind was used to taking up an alarming amount of information every day, every second of every day. I even would put conspiracy stuff on, it would go throughout the night. I'd have something in the background. And so like a drug, my mind is used to taking up a crazy amount of knowledge every day. And it wasn't good for me learning all this conspiracy stuff. So I stopped. And then I found myself, which I shall link once I upload these videos, listening to Spirit Science, a channel called Spirit Science, which is where spiritual beliefs are now being backed up with scientific proof and evidence, and they are linked and they are one. Big up spiritual science, man. So I then went from Spirit Science to The Secret, manifesting with the universe. And I managed to manifest something. And again, mind completely blown. This is the time, I wasn't seeing the numbers yet, but this was the time that at some point I was sat in my armchair and I come up with my own idea, my own concept of music, magic, magician, musician. And then my mind was watching a whole bunch of different documentaries that had a lot of information that were confirming my beliefs. And a belief is the true power. That's why a man's faith or a woman's faith is their belief. You can't take their faith. You can't take their faith from them because it's a belief. You don't necessarily need evidence, you just believe. This is very, very important. So, after these, and I mean many, intently studied things. I then started seeing 33 when I was 33. So I think we've just come full circle there. Now with the blues, I had to stop playing the blues just like I had to stop going down a conspiracy road. Because when things are happening, and I had personal tragedies and very, very hard times, I'm still recovering now, even though they happened nigh on 10 years ago. 10 years prior to that, hence what I said 20 years, nigh on 20 years. Crazy tragedies. Back to back, non-stop. I had to stop wailing away at the blues. There's no such thing as a happy bluesman. It's a curse. And I had to stop the blues. This is when I had a reawakening with reggae. Big, big reawakening. I listened to reggae, but I had this. I put the blues down and I played reggae all day, every day, continuously. Skanking around my front room, you know, it just cracking on big time. It saved my life, if anything. Definitely saved my sanity. But just like a drug, or a drug addict, I'm like, well, okay, I won't play any blues, but there's no harm in watching a blues documentary. Because I understood about manifesting then, and my life just was getting worse and worse and worse and worse. The message you put out to the universe, which I'll speak about these things in more detail. The frequency in the message you put out is what you get back. And here I am wailing away like a bluesman whilst my life's getting bad. Going, do you know what, I understand this knowledge, so I can't do this, I've got to stop it. So let's put reggae on, because reggae's about irie and about positivity. So next minute I'm watching a documentary about the blues. And again, I will talk about all these subjects in a lot more detail in other episodes. I'm having this episode as my pilot episode. So there is a bluesman, the most famous legend, mystical bluesman out of all of them, Robert Johnson. Anyone who knows anything about the blues knows about Robert Johnson. And he goes down to the crossroads to sell his soul to the devil for amazing blues playing powers. And he comes back, before he went to the crossroads, he was some idiot kid who couldn't put a note in on a guitar and everyone boos at him. And he comes back playing phenomenal blues. And he's also the man who started the 27 Club. He was the first man to die at 27, mysterious circumstances to start the 27 Club. So here's me, watching a documentary about the blues, and another documentary about the blues, and then another documentary about the blues, and before you know it, I'm watching documentaries about Robert Johnson. And because I've been researching so much information, I've got a way of, which everybody has, get into cross-referencing and process of elimination. So now I'm watching documentaries just about Robert Johnson, then I'm watching documentaries just about the crossroads, and I knew in my mind there was something more to this tale. And I like online treasure hunting and stuff, so I'm treasure hunting the tale of Robert Johnson going to the crossroads, and I knew he didn't sell his soul to the devil, that's just racism. What was it? There had to be something more. I mean, this is intuition, this is one of my points. I knew, I had a faith, I just knew. And I got onto one documentary and it spoke about a fella called Papa Legba, a god of the crossroads, or a spirit of the crossroads. And I went, oh, that's interesting, I knew. Got my little treasure. I knew there was something more. Cool. I was right all along. So then I pull up another page and I'm Google Images and I type in Papa Legba, crossroads, and yada yada yada. And all of a sudden this symbol, this veve, this sign of the crossroads, it's got a special sign, okay? And there was other signs on the other images that were in my peripheral. But I just saw that there's a symbol of the crossroads. I was only on that second page for like 30 seconds. I saw that there's a symbol of the crossroads. Oh wow, isn't that interesting? Turned it off. Turned the other one up, went back. Now, with the tragedies that I was going through at the time, I was going to see my children at a contact centre, and it's very unfair and traumatising. And my children are doing me lots of drawings, and I'm trying to fight back the tears, and their drawings become less detailed and more hurried towards the end of our time that we've got together. And all of a sudden my daughter draws me this drawing. And I literally looked at the drawing, I looked at her, I said, Bubby, have you seen this before somewhere, or have you just drawn it? And she went, no, I just drew it. No, so it's time to go now, and okay. And I rolled up this drawing that she drew me. And I went home in absolute disbelief. Bearing in mind, I'm seeing these numbers all over the place at the time now. I've manifested a few things, and my mind is getting blown. I know there's more to this reality than meets the eye, okay? And I've more than a shadow of a doubt gone through a lot of trials and tribulations, oppression, and complete and utter horrors. And I'm going home with this image in complete disbelief, and I say to my mum, listen, no time to mess around, just pull up Google Images page, Layla's just drawn me this, there's no way that I don't even understand, this is ridiculous. I only found this out yesterday. And even then, this image that she drew me was in my peripheral. It wasn't something that I studied the sign of the crossroads. Not this other image, mixed in with all these other patternary imageries that there were. Look, there it is, look, Layla's just drawn this. Oh, my daughter's called Layla. going to try and keep names and stuff out, but oh well. Named her after the Eric Clapton song Layla. I said, there's no way she could have known this. No way whatsoever. She doesn't know how to draw a treble clef. She doesn't know any symbol that goes with music, and most definitely not the blues. And I said, don't tell her. My mum went, oh, that is freaky actually. And I said, don't tell me it's 33 minutes past the hour. And I looked down and it was, I think, 16:33. That was, my mind's blown. That was my introduction to my personal spirituality that I've paid homage to all my life. And then it answers me just like the cross or the, I don't know what symbol the Quran have got, or, or Hinduism or Shinto or Rastafari faith, or the tribe that's never contacted anyone or been contacted by anyone, just a soul tribe and a coconut. It answered me. Just like the people that manifest with the universe, or the people that sit there and visualize cross-legged chanting over and over and over again. If it answers, it works, and that's that. And that's another thing. My personal spirituality and belief comes out of oppression. And I've been oppressed terribly, and I've paid homages all my life to this culture. Just because you've never been to Japan, if you've been brought up around Japanese things, everything that you know and have ever done, your whole house is full of Japanese things, and all the people that you hang with all sport Japanese things, then your culture is Japanese. Just because you haven't been to Japan, that doesn't mean a thing. And I personally resent and renounce Western capitalism culture. I'm a very rustic, old school kind of individual, but I also mix with the times are changing and I'm not getting left behind. And that started the leg of my journey that I am now on. And I've been many, many places and had many, many adventures between now and then. I've been on a healing, a very, very painful healing process. And I've unlocked people's minds and decided and come up with ways of being able to unlock people's minds. And I can preach and teach and waffle on for a long time like my dad did with me. And I wish to give back. I wish to live a legacy for my children and loved ones. And I wish to leave an explanation for them. Because when things happen and they're traumatizing and a family gets split up for whatever reason, death or corruption, whatever it may be, they turn in on each other and all the hatred turns in on each other. It turns in on myself and like I just said, they turn in on each other. And the cure for all anger and frustration is knowledge. So I also wish to leave the truth of my tale and how and why things have happened the way they have. And what I've done about it and what I'm going to do about it. And this is my channel and this is what I'm doing. I'm going to leave it there now, guys. A lot of love.